Hey everyone. So as promised, I'm creating a series of high value questions of Algebra 1 Regents. If you want to make sure you're going to pass or score higher, you need to become really, really good in solving such questions. Whether you're just trying to pass or you are want to score more. So the first type of questions that we're going to solve is going to be System of Inequalities. It's a 4-point question. They're almost always the same. So just learn how to do it. Watch the video several times if you can, and just get those 4 points easily. 9 out of 10 regions have that question in their short response. So very, very high chance of you getting such question and grab those 4 points. Easy. All right. So I'm just gonna solve it how I solve it all the time, and I hope this is just gonna basically self-explain on how to do it. All right. So it always looks like that. Let's start. Like it's always two inequalities and a graph. And what do I start with? That I split my solution on the left and on the right side of the paper. Why? Well, because those two inequalities are two separate inequalities that I'm going to graph on one graph. So I want to start with one of them, which it doesn't really matter which one you start with. The bottom one, the top one, doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to start with the one that's on the on the top. All right, so what I'm going to do, so step one, I always rewrite it, like just copy it. Step two. So step two would be a very important step, something that you need to learn, and I would say probably the hardest step to get right, because if you get that right, everything from this point is going to be relatively easy or easier. So what do I do here? I have to make this inequality look like y equals some x plus b, or bring it into y equals some x plus b form. How do I do that? Well, I want y be on its own on the left side of inequality, and on the right side of inequality I want something with the x going right after and then the number itself. So basically you have to put stuff in the right place first. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to take that positive 2x and I'm going to move it to the other side. Some people say move, some people say subtract, however you want to do it. I like saying move so that I know that I'm changing its sign when I move it. So it's going to be 3y less or equals to, now it's going to be negative 2x, and the 15 will just carry down. So this is the first step of making it y equals mx plus b form. The second one is always the same too. You have to isolate the y. You have to kill that 3, basically. How do you kill that 3? You divide everything, every single part of the inequality by 3. Or by whatever stands in front of the y. That's the idea. All right, so what are we having? We're having y less or equals to negative 2/3 x plus 5. And this is it. This is the y equals some x plus b form. From here, everything else will be relatively easier. Now, the next step would be graphing. Graphing this. How do I graph that? Well, there is actually a relatively easy way to remember how to graph this. So, how is that done? Locate that number that goes after the x, which is like plus 5. Locate it on the xy plane, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just count 5 up, put a point there. You don't have to put the 5, but I don't know, I like it. And now you have to find the second point. In total you need only 2. So find the next point. How do you find the next point? You use the slope, which is the number that's in front of the x. In our case, it's negative 2/3. So what does that mean? It means that I'm going to go down 2 units from the point that I have and 3 units to the right. Basically, I'm doing what's called a rise over run, which is my rise is negative 2, my run is 3. That's how it is. So down 2, 3 to the right. And then I put a point there. All right. The next step is to choose with which line to connect those points. So there is 2 choices. There is a dashed line choice. I'm going to put it here. And there is a solid line choice. So which line do you choose? Well, if it's easy. If you see this sign or that sign, it's a dashed line. If you see this sign or that sign, it's a solid line. It's easy as that. Just look at the sign. So in this one, we're going to use a solid line. Do you need more points to connect to make a line? No, you don't. Can you have more? Yes, you can, if you want, but you don't have to. The only thing is that on the test, make sure probably that you're using like a ruler or something. It has to be pretty precise. It's not going to be as precise on my graph maybe, but you need it to be, I don't know, have an extra pencil to connect it all through. Now, put the original inequality on top of your line. They take away points if you don't do that. Not like it's very necessary, but I don't know. It's just their rules. Now, the next step and the last step is called shading. So how do you shade and where do you shade and what is that? So basically there's shading going on either above your line or below the line that you just created. How do you decide where you go, above or below? I have my own trick to do that. What I do, I substitute in original inequality, I substitute y and x with zeros, like 3 times, so basically putting 0 here, and just rewrite it with the result of what would happen if I put 0 and 0. You know what? I think I'm going to just write it down lower over here. So it's going to be 3 times 0 plus 2 times 0, which will be zeros. I'm just showing you one time, and I'm most likely not going to show it again because, well, this is very easy. You're just putting zeros instead of y and x. So it's going to be 0 plus 0 less or equals to 15, which is 0 less or equals to 15. Now you have to decide whether this became true or not true. Is 0 less than 15? Yes, it is, which means that it's true. If the sign would be like the other way, right, greater or equals to, no, that would be not true. If that happens, if it's true, you have to shade towards 0, 0. Towards means like this is 0, 0, you have to shade that way, so below your line. How do you shade? I don't know, just use a pencil and lightly like do this. I just recently discovered that I did like a shading tool on this PDF file. So this is how you do it. You shade everything that's below this line. And this is it. This is a complete graphing of linear inequality with shading complete. Now, this is very important what I'm about to say, because basically it's like that. You are going to repeat all the steps with the second inequality, one by one. So it's basically the same work twice. That's what it is. You don't do anything else. You write it down first. I'm going to do it with a different color so you won't confuse that. So you write it down. You make sure that everything on the right spot. Is everything on the right spot here? No, it's not. So you take that negative x and you have to put it after the equal sign over there. So now it's going to be y greater than negative x will turn into a positive x. Just like positive 2x turned into a negative 2x, negative x will turn into a positive x. So it's going to be x plus 1. Now, do you have any number in front of the y to divide everything by? No, you don't. So that means that it's done. You don't have to do those divisions anymore. Y on its own, this is already y equals mx plus b form. It's time to graph. All right. So locate that number, which is positive 1 on the y-axis. Here it is, 1. And now use the slope. But where's the slope? Like over here, I did have like negative 2 over 3. How about here? It just says x. So what's the slope? So the slope is an invisible 1 that stands in front of the x. Yes, sometimes that happens. Will it happen all the time? No. But if that happens, we could just consider it 1. But what is 1 in terms of the rise over run? In terms of the rise over run, 1 is 1 over 1. So what does that mean? It means that I'm going to have to go up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. Is that enough points? Yes. Just like I said, 2 points is enough. Time to connect the points. How do I connect? Which line do I choose? I look at the sign, I see the sign, and I understand that it's a dashed line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect it with a dashed line. Boom, 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 boom. You know, I'm doing my best. All right. Shading time. Do I shade towards 0, 0? So to the right from the line, to the left from the line, below or above, right? So how do I do that? I plug in 0, 0. So it's going to be 0 minus 0 greater than 1, which means that it's 0 greater than 1. Is that true? No, not true. If it's not true, you have to shade away from 0, 0. Not towards, away. So we get another shading tool, right? And just shade away from the black line. Oh, what is that? Away? What? All right. I don't know why. I don't know why it does that. Weird. So like that. Everything. You basically just don't pay attention at anything else. You just shade everything above the black dashed line with the blue. Do you see what happens where the shadings intersect? It becomes green. And that's what is the solution set. Like where the double shading occurs, it's the solution set. So I'm gonna just take that pretty pink color and I'm gonna put the letter S here, stating that this, everything that's green now, is the solution set. All the points located in the green are the solution set. All right, and now we're gonna have to. That's it. We're done. This is all. This is all. Now we're about to answer the last question. So state the coordinates of a point in the solution to this system. So you can literally take any point from the green. I want to do it with red probably. From the green region. All right. So anything. I don't know. Negative 2, 3. And you just say negative 2, 3. Positive 3. Positive 3. Negative 2, 3. Could have you chosen anything else? Yes, you could. Anything. Any point from the green region. Now this, look at the whole picture. This is the 4-point answer. So I'm going to quickly highlight how to do this, and that will be it for this video. All right, so real quick, split them up, right? Put one on the left, one on the right. Real quick, hold on. Put one inequality to the left, one to the right. Solve them separately. So make it in y equals mx plus b form. If it's not, as soon as you did it, graph it. Use the y-intercept. Use the slope to get the second point. So y-intercept is for the first point. Slope for the second point. Once you graph it, well, when you're about to graph it, choose the correct line. Connect. Once you connect it and made the line, make sure you you do the like basically. Oh, you put the. You know what? Look at this. I think you don't have to put the second one on top of the next line, but you know what? I'm just gonna do it to make it perfect. So once you have done connecting the line, shading starts. So plug in 0, 0 for your inequality and see if the result is true or not true. If it's true, shade towards 0, 0. Towards means like literally that way. If it's not true, shade away from 0, 0. So you're gonna have to see, but it's easy. And this is it. You've done one, you do the same process with the other. You've done the same process with the other, right? Y plus mx plus b form, graphing one point, graphing second point, connecting with the correct line, doing shading. And now, once you got where the shadings intersect, this is your solution set. Mark it with the letter S and answer the last question. Is the last question is always the same? No, it's not always the same. I'm gonna make more videos on how to solve more questions like that. But for now, that would be it. If you have any questions or remarks, let me know. There's going to be more questions in this series on how to score high on the Algebra 1 Regents. All right, guys, that will be it, and get ready for more. Bye bye.